Chapter 1, Part 2, Napoleon. This summarizes page 11 to 21 of the book Absolute Power by Paul Collins. After the death of Pius VI in August 1799, a papal conclave was held in Venice. 46 cardinals and Catholic monarchs were informed. The conclave began in December and lasted 3 months. The cardinals elected Luigi Bernaba Chiaramonti, who took the name Pius VII. At the time he was 58 years old, brave and gentle. He returned to Rome despite the danger in July of 1800. Remember, in the prior video, Pius VI died in exile after the French had taken Rome. Napoleon took a utilitarian perspective and saw that the church could be used to consolidate his own power. He wanted to make peace with the papacy and negotiated a legally and diplomatically binding document known as the Concordat, which was established in Paris on the 10th of September 1801. Key players like the Cardinal, Secretary of State Conclave, and Talleyrand helped to serve as chief negotiators for this document. Catholicism was not the official state religion, but it was recognized as the religion of the great majority of Frenchmen. Freedom of religion was reaffirmed. 136 dioceses were redrawn to 60, and the government was able to appoint bishops and cures, or parish priests. The restoration of church property also occurred. There were, however, many concessions made to the Concordat. These were known as the organic articles to the Concordat. These included concessions that were made by Conclave, which emphasized state permission to found seminaries, as well as the regulation of diocese boundaries, as stated prior. Priest salaries and clerical dress were dictated by the state. Public processions were banned in towns that have different creeds. The Catholic community resisted against state interference and Gallicanism, and this led to the development of the French Church to a new movement called Ultramontanism, which is Latin for beyond the mountains. It was pro-papist and supported papal power of the Church against the authority of the state. Many priests left France and parishes became priestless. There was also a new faction growing in the Church, known as the Zelanti, which stemmed from the Italian word for zealot. The Zelanti opposed the Concordat's concessions, and they were concerned that French divorce laws would be imposed also throughout the Papal States. Napoleon became popular after the Concordat was signed in France and northern Italy, and the Corsicans believed him to be God's elect and the new Charlemagne. The French Senate elected Napoleon as emperor with the support of the people. Jacques Louis David created a painting of the coronation with Napoleon already crowned and the Pope looking dispirited. When the relationship turned sour, 1805. Napoleon's relationship with the Pope turned sour when the French had continual incursions into papal territory, and the Pope also refused Bonaparte's plan to invade Britain. In 1808, Napoleon took control of Rome, declaring it to be a free city, a free imperial city. Pius VII, as a result, excommunicated him. After that, the Pope was kidnapped and taken to Savona. The Papal States became integrated again with the French Empire, into the French Empire, and Napoleonic Code, including divorce, was implemented. So that really also pissed off the Zelanti. Napoleon's defeat. When Napoleon was heading to Russia in 1812, the Pope was taken to Fontainebleau, close to Paris, despite suffering from urinary tract infection. Napoleon was defeated in 1814 by coalition forces. The French Empire disintegrated, and Napoleon abdicated the throne and was exiled. This led to the Principal of Legitimacy, whereby kings throughout Europe were restored, such as Louis XVIII in France. The Congress of Vienna, which occurred from 1814 to 1815, and Catholic powers excluded the Pope from peace negotiations, such as the Austrians, because they wanted the legations for themselves. The Papal States were reinstated with British support. Restoration. The Papal States required loans from the Rothschild to fund for public works and balance the treasury. Carbonari, or charcoal burners, in 1817 were a secret society of Masonic origin that favored Italian unification and led to an unsuccessful rebellion against the Papal States. Citizens of the Papal States had already enjoyed French democracy and were now being governed by an ineffective church government, which blurred the lines between the church and the state. Zelanti cardinals opposed many new reforms, and also the Jesuits were restored after 41 years of suppression. Pius VII dies in July of 1823, and the Bail della Genga was voted by the Conclave by September, naming himself Leo XII. He was a Zelanti who rolled back legal reforms, creating the Index of Forbidden Books, reinstated the Roman Inquisition, and forbidden secret societies and Freemasonry because of the Carbonari revolt mentioned prior. The San Fidesti, or the Army of the Holy Faith, was reorganized to defend the papacy against secret societies. Overall, this led to economic stagnation, inequality between the papal government aristocracy and the commoners, and incompetent clerics who were trying to govern the Papal States. So in summary, we looked at Napoleon's effects on the papacy, how it led to the Concordat. We also saw the rise of Pius VII, the organic articles of the Concordat, the many concessions that were made that favored the French more than the Papal States, the rise of the Zelanti, Napoleon's coronation when his relationship turned sour against the Pope, Napoleon's defeat, restoration of legitimacy of the kings throughout Europe, and also restoration of the Papal States, and also finally the death of Pius VII and the rise of Leo XII. Next time, join me in which I discuss Neo-Ultramontanism and how that plays into the gaining of papal authority and the doctrine of the infallibility of the Pope. Thanks for watching.